Hello friends, welcome to this new lecture. This is the first video in this YouTube series where we will learn Git commands for security engineers. So let's jump into the action. In this first lecture, we will learn to clone a Git repo from GitHub on our local system. For this demonstration, I will take just another vulnerable Java application from my GitHub repo. You can take any other repo, or if you specifically want to use this repo, you can fork this repo. So let me show how you can do that. I'll open this repo in a new tab. So this is just another vulnerable Java application repo. If you want to fork this repo, you can use fork button. As you can see, this repo has already been forked for 69 times. For forking a repo, you will have to sign in to your GitHub account. So let's click on sign in button. As you can see, this is my login name, which is eSecurity Guru, and this is my password. Let me click on sign in. As you know, two-factor authentication has been enabled in GitHub accounts. You can either use passkey to log into your GitHub account if you have saved that passkey on your system. So passkey is a kind of private key that gets downloaded to your system. You can add it to your desktop or you can add it to your mobile phone. If you have saved that passkey on your desktop, you can use this button. It will try to detect that passkey stored in your browser or your desktop, and it will then authenticate you to your GitHub account. But in my case, I do not have passkey stored on this system. Hence, I will use the authenticator app which I have configured with GitHub account. So let me use this. I will have to enter the authentication code. So let me do that. So my code is 229802, and you can see we have been successfully logged into our GitHub account. Now, since this is my GitHub repo, I cannot fork it, but you will be able to fork it. Forking a repo will create a clone of this GitHub repo in your account. Hence, suppose this is your account, eSecurity Guru, and you click on fork on this repo, you will be able to see another similar repo of this name, just another vulnerable Java application under your GitHub account username. And that will become a copy of this GitHub repo. It will also show any changes that will be made to my repo, and it will tell you that this copy of just another vulnerable Java application is behind the original GitHub repo. So I hope you understand forking. Now let's move to the goal of this lecture, which is cloning this repo on our local system. We are specifically creating this YouTube series to teach Git commands to our security engineers, because in your day-to-day project, you might need to clone a repo, you might need to update a repo, or you might need to rebase a repo as well. We will go through all the complex commands as well in this entire YouTube series. Please do subscribe and share to support this channel, and also send your request if you would like to see a specific series in application security from Raghu, the security expert. So let's continue. In order to clone this repo, we will click on code and we will copy this URL. This is the HTTPS URL that we are using to clone this repo. There are other methods as well, like SSH and GitHub CLI. We will see separate lectures on these two methods as well. For now, we will be using HTTPS option to clone this repo. We have copied the URL. Let's now go to our local system. I'm in D drive. I'll create a new folder here. Let's name this folder as GitHub YouTube series, and let's go in this. Now here, let's open a command prompt by typing cmd and hit enter, and you can see command prompt has been opened here. Let me maximize this. Let's now type git space clone and paste the GitHub URL that we have copied, and you can see the command becomes git space clone and the GitHub repo URL that we want to copy. Make sure that .git is present at the end, which signifies that this is a GitHub repo. Let's hit enter, and voila, you can see that we have got an error which says Git is not recognized as an internal or external command. This is intentional because I have not installed Git on my local system. So one prerequisite that you need to fulfill before running any Git command is to install Git CLI on your local system. So let's do that quickly. I'll minimize this. I'll open a new tab. I'll type Git CLI download and hit enter. The first link is from git-scm.com. Let's open it. Let's click on Windows. You can see there is a link download for Windows. Let's click on it. I'm using 64-bit setup. So let's click on it. And as you can see, download has been started. Let's wait for a few seconds. And you can see the software has been downloaded successfully. Let's open it. we are installing it. In order to install Git, let's click on next. We are using the default location for installing it. Let's click on next. I'm not going to change any of the default selections, and let's click on next button. Yes, the program will create a shortcut in the start menu. That's fine. Let's go to next. We are going to use Vim as Git default editor. You can use any of these editors. If you are not familiar with Vim, you can use Notepad++ as well. You will need this whenever there is conflicts in your code, and the remote repo will have different code than the local repo. You will have to manually write some commands in order to remove those conflicts. In that case, Vim or Notepad++ will come handy. I am familiar with Vim and I will show you how to use it because this is the most common method that is used across industry. So let's select the Vim method as the default Git editor and let's click on next. I won't change any of the other selections, and let's click on next and quickly install Git on our system. One important thing, whenever you do a Git pull, there are three options. One is fast forward or merge, second is rebase, and third is only ever fast forward. We will learn about all these three in detail in the upcoming lectures. For now, let's go with the default selection. We will use Git credential manager to store our Git credentials. Let's click on next and click on install. Git is being installed and you can see Git has been successfully installed on our local system. I do not want to view release notes, so I am going to uncheck it. Let's click on finish. Now, since we have recently installed Git, the changes will not be loaded in this command prompt. So let me copy this command. I'll copy this command and I will open a new command prompt at the same location where we have created this folder. So let me close this. Let me go to same location. This is our GitHub YouTube series folder. Let me open a command prompt here. Let me maximize it. Let me zoom in. Let me paste the command again and let's hit enter. And you can see just another vulnerable Java application has been successfully cloned on our local system. You can verify it by either running dir command on Windows and you will be able to find a GitHub repo on your local system. You can either go to the Explorer and you can go within this folder, which is just another vulnerable Java application, and you can see all the files are present. You will also see a .git folder which denotes that this is a Git repository. Most of the configuration changes, hooks, any kind of object references are stored in .git folder. And this .git folder connects your local repo with remote repo. So make sure you do not delete this folder as it contains all the configuration changes. So in this lecture, we saw how to clone a repo on our local system. In the next lectures, we will move to the next step. We will make few changes in our repo and we will push those changes. And we will also learn about pull request. We will also create some scenarios where we will see some code conflict, how to resolve those code. We will also learn how to resolve code conflicts while working with Git. So it's going to be a really helpful YouTube series. Make sure you watch all the lectures in the same order as we are recording it. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.